Hello, welcome to my channel. I'm the instructor Alejandro Guzman. I will frequently upload topics about software development, program languages, database, and much more. All my course completely free. Remember to subscribe to my channel and activate the bell to receive notifications when I upload new videos. So, see you soon. Let's now look at some of the commands that are used to search and replace text in the V editor. These commands can be used in two ways. You can use replacement search on the current line in which I am located, or there are also parameters so that the search is done at the level of the entry document of the entry file in which we are located. Let's see some examples. For example, the command s/text to search /new text/ allow us to find the first occurrence of the text and replace it with the new text. Once B makes the change made to the current line simply appears. Watch the example. When B does not find the text we are looking for, the parent message "not found" will appear on the last line of the screen. So the text that we are trying to find was not found by B in the context of the search. If on the contrary, B finishes making the change and we use a parameter such as /g to search the entry text and replace, it tells us how many substitutions were made, and this information appears as long as there are more than 2 substitutions. Let's see some examples of how to correctly use all these options and replacement command. Let's see an example of how the substitution command of a word is used within the same line of text. For this, we will see the following command. Pay attention. Press 2 points, S in lowercase, to indicate substitution. / you put the text you want to search. For example, I am located in the 4th line of the document and I'm going to use a text called búsqueda. Then type the word búsqueda. Then put / and now we place because we want to replace text. For example, if I only want to change the words appears in all capitals, then I write in capital letters the whole word búsqueda. Finally, we close the command with / again. Then observe the syntax. 2 point, S lowercase, / the word we want to search, / and the new word we want to replace, and close with /. See what happens in the document on line 4 when I press enter. Note that he changed the word búsqueda initially, but there was another word búsqueda later, and he ignored it completely. In this way, we use a basic search the first time the contents appears and replace it. If we want to make this example but replacing the whole document, we will see how it is done. Let's first undo this change with undo and notice that we leave the word as it was originally. Now let's say the command again. A colon S / the word we want, for example, búsqueda, / again the word búsqueda in capital letters, Thus this is going to be our new word that we are going to replace and observe the variant. We put the slash and then add the letter G in lowercase. Observe how the command was. It is the same as the previous one, but we put slash G at the end. See that the substitution has been made of the two search words that were on line 4. However, the other words that are on the top was not modified. In this way, we begin to recognize that the command as is only used to make substitution in the current line of the document. Watch now what happens when we try to perform a replacement search on the current line and we cannot find the word we want to replace. Let's do a new search, s slash, and suppose I want to find a word that does not exist in the current line. For example, let's look for the word mayor, and we're going to tell you to replace it with the word menor. Watch what happens when I press enter. At the bottom of the screen I get a message in red. The search pattern was not found. Now another type of message we can get is the number of replacements that were made by B in the current line. Observe the following example as follows. Again we type colon s slash, and we will say, for example, that it takes all the letters A in lowercase and replace with A in uppercase. Then we write A in lowercase slash, I want to replace it with A in uppercase slash G. The G, remember that it is so that the substitution is made in the word line. Watch what happens when I press enter. On line 4, where I was located, all the lowercase letters A that he found now appears with A in uppercase. It is indicating that you made 8 substitutions in total on this line. We have just analyzed what a substitution at the line 11 is like. Remember that this substitution with the S command is only made in the first occurrence of the word. Let's see a variant which will allow you that substitution is not only done on the first occurrence of the word you are looking for, but on all the occurrence of this word in the line in which we find ourselves. This variant is written as follows. We will repeat the sample of the search using the word buscar to replace it with búsqueda, uppercase, but we will add the following variant. Observe the syntax. Colon, place the symbol percentage, the letter S in lowercase. Percentage S is the command used to search all the occurrence of the text we want to search. Now, let's place the text that we are going to look for. Let's find the word búsqueda. Then slash again. What are we going to tell him to change them by the word búsqueda in uppercase? Slash. Note the syntax and what will happen when you press enter. Note that B just searched the entry file and only touched the first occurrence of the word búsqueda, found búsqueda here on line 2 and changed it to the uppercase, and found the occurrence of the word búsqueda on line 4 and changed to búsqueda in capital letters, but did not touch this búsqueda. The second time the word búsqueda appears on the same line, he did not touch it. In this way, we identify that the command %s only makes the replacement for a version of the first occurrence of the word that is being searched. How do we repeat the command in all occurrences, not only in the first occurrence? For that, then we use the variant g that we saw previously, and what we do is to type the same command. Then 2 points %s, the word we want is búsqueda slash, we put the word we want in uppercase slash g, lowercase. See what's happened when we press enter. It has replaced 3. In the lower part it appears the quantity substitution. It has replaced me 3 times the word that it found in 2 lines. In line 2 he placed búsqueda, and in line 4 he found 2 words búsqueda. In this way we use the variant %s to be able to search for occurrence in all lines of the document. Let's now see another way to search for bin searches and replacement throughout the file. This form of syntax is simply using the g command for the search in the following way. Observe the example. We use :g/ the text that we want to search. For example, let's search for the word búsqueda. /s to indicate substitution, // and then the word with which we want to replace. In this case, I want to replace with the word búsqueda in capital letters, and observe the following. We put /c. C is used to confirm the replacement. It means that I want bin to ask me confirmation before making the change. I'm going to press enter and watch the sample. Bin is located on the first word he finds and asks me to confirmation whether or not I want to accept the change. Press Y to accept the change or N to not accept the change. Then press Y and observe what happens. Bin makes the change and is located in the next word that matches. I can also say Y or I can say N to accept or not the replacement. At the end, B say how many substitutions he makes: 3 lines, 3 substitutions. Let's undo the change and see how we do it without needing to confirm. Let's see now a search variant, but that B does not ask me for the confirmation. That is to say that he does the search and replacement of all the versions that fits the same word. Then we return to the example. We say :g/ the word we want to find, that is in this case we say it was búsqueda, /s// and the new word which we say was búsqueda in capital letters, and now the variant we put /g. G is for you to make a global replacement without asking me. So in this case, observe the syntax. Hit enter and observe the change on the screen. Look at that. B, I did not ask for confirmation, but simply went and made the substitution in the entry document without asking me, and tells me how many substitutions made in the end of the screen appears. In this way, we finish the syntax of the search commands. Let's now see a variant in searches and replacements. We can do searches and replacements in B using a range of line numbers. In this way, B will only affect that number of lines that we have specified. For example, from line 20 to line 50. In this way, B replaces it in that range of number of lines. Let's see some examples of how the replacement is used in B using range. Let's see this example to do text replacement in B using blocks. For example, I separate the example we had for search in 8 lines. So here we have a text of 8 lines in the document, and we will perform the search and replacement of the word búsqueda, but by range of lines. Observe the syntax. We are going to execute the command in the following way: colon, we place the initial line number. For example, I want you to just search for the word búsqueda from line 4, comma, to what line do I want to search? For example, only search me until line 7 and the letter S to tell substitution. Observe the syntax. Initial line, comma, final line, S, and then we use the syntax we know. In this case, we have to search the word búsqueda, and that word replace it with another word búsqueda in capital letters. Note that the variant is that at the beginning of the command I used a range of lines. Then I close. If I want to confirm with C, so I ask for confirmation every time I find the word in that range of lines. Or if I want it globally because I use the G. Let's do it with confirmation initially. Observe the syntax and what happened when I press enter. Note that they ignored line 2. On line 2 we had a word búsqueda, and I ignored it because I told him to look from line 4 to line 7, and I'm going to tell him to replace it and finished. Notice that he also ignored the last word búsqueda at the end because he was on line 8. In this way we use search range for the substitution command. If I want, you can also use the command when it's ends with /g, so that it does not ask question but simply I do a global substitution. We're going to do this example again, but this time we're going to use the G parameter. Then we type colon from line 4, comma, to line 7, S for substitution, /. We will place the word we want to find in that range of lines. We type / again and place the new word that we said, búsqueda, in capital letters. / and since I do not want to confirm its substitution, we use G. Observe when you give enter what happens. B did the search for the word búsqueda and replaced it with search in uppercase, but only did it between line 4 and line 7. Did not replace the word that was in line 2 and neither did the replacement in the word that was on line 8. In this way, we use text searches and replacements in blocks of lines according to the number you indicate. Let's now see some useful commands for copying and pasting using the buffer. What is the buffer? The buffer are simply memory locations where we can store the information, and when we want to paste, copy or paste it, we can use it again. Let's see this series of commands and we will see an example of each of them so you can see how they are used. One of the most used commands in the V editor is the YY command. This command allows us to copy information in the buffer. Observe what happens when we press YY. No type of message appears on the screen because I copied very few lines in the buffer. When we use YY preceding a number, it allows us to copy several lines in the buffer. For example, if I want to copy 5 lines, I press 5 YY, and in this way if a message appears at the bottom of the screen, indicating that 5 lines were copied. However, with the example we made earlier, pressing only YY allows me to copy the line on which I am. Let's repeat that example. YY, and we already have a line in memory. We are going to locate in another part of the document and we are going to paste the line, and for that we are going to see the P command. The P command has 2 modes, the lowercase mode and the uppercase mode. If I press P at this time, the text that is in the memory will be below the current line. If I press P in uppercase, the text will be above the current line. I will press P lowercase and observe the effect. The text appears on the bottom line, the text that was copied with YY. Let's return the change with U, and now let's use P uppercase and see where the text is. The text was pasted on top of where I was originally from. Now let's see what's happened when I copy several lines. I'm going to place myself in this 4th line, and I will copy 3 lines, the 3 lines that follow. Then we press 3 YY, and note that at the bottom it says that 3 lines were copied to the buffer. I locate myself in another part of the file, and when I press P, observe what happened. He brings me the buffer, the 3 complete lines. In this way, we use YY and P to copy and paste the memory buffer. A very used variant of the YY command is to use all the memory buffer of the server, that is, the letters. We can use memory buffer from A to Z, and not just the basic buffer or the initial buffer. How do we store the contents we are going to copy in different buffers letters? For this, we are going to use a variant. What we do initially is to use quote the letter on which we identify the buffer, and then we do the copying operation that can be YY, or it can be the number of line and then YY. Let's see the following example. For example, I will store different lines in different buffer. I'm going to locate on this line, and this line I will copy it in a buffer that we will call A. Observe what I type on the screen. Quote A and then YY command. And place this first line in the buffer A. Now I move to another line of contents and I'm going to copy this second contents in the buffer B. Then we repeat the operation. Quote B, which is the destination buffer, and YY. I copied line 2 in buffer B. Now I've moved to line 3 and I'm going to copy this text in the buffer called C. Observe how it is done. Quote the letter of the buffer Z and then YY. I have already made a copy and note that B does not inform me anything. It simply does it in background in deep and it does not confirm that the operation has been done. Now I'm going to stand in this position and I'm going to paste the content of the buffer. So for this we use the syntax for the P command. Remember that P is paste. Then observe how we use to bring a specific buffer. We have a buffer A, a buffer B, and a buffer C. Thus we have created with the previous commands. I'm going to bring, for example, the buffer C in the position in which I am below. So for that we use the following syntax. Quote the name of the buffer C and the letter P. And note that I have pasted the contents of the dir buffer. Now let's do the same but the buffer A. But this time I want to use the buffer A to appear above this line 3. Then see how we do it. Press quote buffer A, press the P in capital letters, and paste the contents on the top line. Now we have a buffer B which contains line 2, and I want that content to place it below the position where I am. We are going to do the same. Quote the buffer is the buffer B, and then we press the P. And note that B has pasted the contents of the buffer B below the contents of line 1 and above the contents of line 3. Note that in this way we can use all the memory buffer from A to Z to store information, lines, and also paste them in the position we want from the document. I will go down to the end of the document and see what we can do. We can tell you quickly, quote, buffer A, P, and bring me the content. Quote, buffer B, P, and bring me the contents. Buffer C, P, and in this way we can copy and paste different memory locations using Vim. Let's see now how line blocks are used in the V-editor. Line blocks are useful for all types of operations, such as copying and pasting documents or pieces of text, and also to delete several lines or several lines according to blocks. How do we define a block? Initially, we must locate where we want to start the block, that is, the initial line of the block. Then we go down to the line of the block we want to use as the initial line. For example, I want that to be my first line of the block, and we will use the command M, and we will mark the block with the letter from A to Z. For example, I want this to be the beginning of the block, A. Then I type mark the M, A, and it is marked as the beginning of the block. Then I move to the end, for example, up to here. And what I want is to copy in memory the contents of all the lines of this block from the line that is marked with the letter A to the current position. Then we do the following. Let's click Y. Remember that Y is for copying. And we use the single quote and the block number. Then note that press Y, single quote, A, and B what he did was copy the whole block in the buffer memory, and in this way copy those lines without knowing the line numbers, copy and entry block. Now we can erase the block. Deleting a block means eliminating the lines that contains that block, and for that we use the D command. Just like we use the delete command, the D command, and we indicate the name of the block. For example, I'm going to move to the button where I want the block to end, and I type D, single quote, and the letter of the block, A. Observe what's happened. B has erased all the lines from where the block mark appears to the current position. In this way, we use block of line using the M command. Let's see now how to perform the copying and pasting of the range of line using the line mode. That is, we are going to type commands, but we are going to use the line mode. In this example, we will store in the main buffer of the lines that go from 4 to 6, or copy the lines that have the numbers 1, 2, and 3. How do you do that from the line mode? Then we enter line mode with colon. We indicate the initial line and the final line. For example, 4, 6, Y. Notice that I am in line mode, or you are seeing the command on the screen. And when you press enter, it will store this in the buffer. Note that it is a little more visible and not as hidden as we did with the command mode. In this case, I copied lines 4, 5, and 6 to the main buffer. Now I can locate in another part of the document, for example here, at the end of the document, and I can use the command to retrieve the buffer but in line mode. How is the command in line mode? Observe the sample. I enter line mode and write the word put and press enter. And note that B has pasted the 3 lines it has in the buffer into the document and has created them in the final part of the document. In this way, we are seeing the equivalence to what we seen as previously of using the command YY to copy and the P command to paste. Here in line mode, we use colon, initial line, comma, final line, and use put to paste the contents. Let's see some other examples of how to copy range of lines using the line mode. The following examples are for you to see how the line command can be used quickly, and we can directly copy and paste lines without needing to be located in the final position. I want to copy lines 4, 5, and 6, and I want to copy them under line 8 from the last line of the document. Then observe the syntax of the command line to make a quick copy. We use colon 4, comma 6 space CO and place the destination line number. For example, we type line 8 and enter. And what he has done is below line 8, he has placed me the 3 lines that I just copied. Note that I made them in line mode. That is, they will not be stored in buffer, but it was simply a direct command that was executed by command line.